All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this special meeting of North Kawartha Council. The purpose of this meeting is for capital forecast, as we do every year around this time in late October to get ourselves prepared for the budget. Welcome to all the folks, the staff that are here today to present their forecast for their departments, and welcome to those folks that may be viewing this online at a later date and time, because as everybody knows, we record and upload our meetings to our YouTube channel. So just be aware, everything's being recorded, all right? And before we begin, council would like to acknowledge that we meet on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, in particular, our neighbors from Kawartha Anishinaabe and Curve Lake First Nation. We recognize and honor the original people of this place we call North Kawartha. As duly elected representatives, we follow this Indigenous practice of acknowledgement to foster respectful deliberations, thoughtful collaboration, and wise decision-making in our service to this community. Okay, and I will ask, does any member have a pecuniary interest in any of the matters before us today? Seeing none, I will move on then, and adoption of the agenda. Can I have a mover for that, please? Moved by Colin, seconded by Ruth Ann. All those in favor? The agenda has been adopted, and without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our treasurer. Judy Everett is here, and she's going to start us off. So good morning, and please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good morning, everybody. So we're going to start with the presentation. Yeah, jump right into it here.
Perfect.
Take some. Okay. So again, I think council members are kind of familiar with this process by now. The managers get together. Well, they provide a list, I guess, to the capital items to me first. We put it all together, get together as a team and decide what we're going to recommend to council to include in the budget. Today we're presenting them, the VIPs, each manager will present their own. And we're looking for council to kind of direct us in what they feel we can include in the first draft budget. This is just an overview again of the OMPF and how it started, and it's nice that we've gone from 380,000 to $1.2 million now. It has been a few years, but it's nice that it seems to grow each year. The asset management plan, we still are looking at, including the transfer as per our plan. On October 21st, we did have the presentation from Hanson, and they're suggesting a new amount with, some upgraded capital item figures in there. So a transfer of 53,670 million in addition to what we were already putting aside. We have in the past used some of those transfers. This year. We're using the whole amount. And that will depend on the OMPF amount that we get. So we don't know usually until November how much that will be for next year. If it's more than the 1 million that we're looking at this point that we're calculating, then I would suggest that amount, go back into the, use that as the transfer. Reserves right now, we have about 6.1 million in our future capital reserves and about 3 million in general reserves. And if you remember general reserves, we use for any emergency or unexpected expense. That's where our surplus deficit goes. Future capital reserve is used for capital. The Parks Reserve Fund we have, it currently has a balance approximately 34,000. We're looking at using about 27 of that this year that's left over from previous years that they've been working on the plan. Cash in lieu of Parkland is transferred into that account. And the gas tax, it's kind of in and out each year. Whatever we receive, we usually use it for capital projects, and we have typically used it for the roads. So that's just an outline of our capital future items summary, showing and we'll get into the list later, but the list, A and B, 3.9 million. Less other funding, so that would be OMPF funds, grants, reserves, reserve funds. So it's a funding deficit of 1.6 million. We're looking at OMPF at 1 million, which hopefully it will be more for 26. We're using 11,854 of remaining, so items that we had budgeted OMPF to be used for in previous years. If it came in less than what we budgeted for, that's bringing that back, so remaining of OMPF from those items. We were saying 203,000 that we would suggest can be deferred to 2027. So that's coming off the amount that we need. And then the 406,000, which would be the transfer to asset management plan, future capital reserve. Using that full amount brings us to a zero balance. And again, if we get more OMPF, we can put that balance into the future capital reserves. So items not included in this forecast, funds for the purpose of purchasing property and completing studies and surveys to prepare properties for municipal purposes beneficial to the community, including housing development. The facade, grounds improvement and electric vehicle chargers at 135 Burley Street that has been mentioned as a, look forward, thinking about in the future. The recreation master plan and continuation of operations plan, and they are to be completed in-house. The community pollinator gardens, the implementation of the downtown master plan, and the municipal office, the office parking lot. Right. It was in the budget a couple of years ago when it got taken out, so that's not in here. So that's it for my presentation. If we can go to the capital forecast and summary. Okay, so this is the combination of every department's forecasts for the next 10 years. So 2026 is showing what we're looking at for next year. The next column that may be deferred, showing the 203,000, and then the other years. I'm not sure how detailed we want to get, or if you want to, as managers come, if you want to ask questions about other years at that point, you can do that.
That makes sense, yeah.
Okay, and capital major items and funding. So this is our major sheet here, showing what I just kind of went over, the OMPF of 1 million, and then bringing in the remaining funds of OMPF that have not been spent or they were extra. And just listing all the items that you're going to hear about in the next couple of hours. Showing at the bottom there, sorry. Showing the zero there, saying that everything is funded in different areas from different sources. And the asset management plan transfer is showing there too.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Beautiful morning out there. Judy, on the reserves, is our total reserve for everything 6 million?
No, that's the future, if I may, future capital reserves only. So our general is around 3 million right now.
3? So 9 million altogether. Okay.
Yeah.
And so 6 million in capital reserves, that's if we had an emergency and needed a new fire truck, if we had an emergency, we needed new plow and whatever, which we can't get for 3 years, but anyway, we'll forget about that. So any emergency that comes up in the capital only, that's what, that's what. And also for ongoing purchases.
That's what I would recommend, if it's a capital item, on our plan, that it would come out of the future capital reserves.
Perfect.
Other, emergency items, we can use the general reserves for.
Well, you go to general for emergency.
For other, depending what it is.
Yeah, if I need to, that list on in your presentation, when you talk about things that weren't funded, Like, for example, we talked, not this parking lot, but the parking lot, 143 in Burley, yeah. That was the motion we made to say that it comes from general reserves. It was a one-time type of expense. So I'm looking at those things, that makes sense, you know, when you have those things come up to use from general, but. And for the future capital, and we did this last year too, where we took the amount that we were putting aside for the asset management and using it for capital, right? So, you know, we get into that situation of, you know, let's talk about, you have to save this and we need to have how much, however many hundreds of millions of dollars we needed, but you know, in 40 years, right? But we actually have to replace and utilize that as we go along in that 40-year time period, right?
Yes, correct. So whether you put it in for future or, you know, if you use it for capital this year, either way.
Yeah.
You can do it, yes.
Okay.
I gotta say this, forecast of $200 million that we need to, or whatever it was it 200 million that they need for it in 20 years or 40 years? I could buy that if they put in everything that we spend capital on during the years. But to say it in 40 years, you're gonna need $200 million, just doesn't cut ice with me. I think it's a bunch of bunk.
It's
Anyway.
just
And
hard,
that's just my personal opinion, by the way.
but it's hard, I get what you're saying, because it's hard, because it's not like, you know, we're using everything and then at the 40-year mark, all of a sudden we have to replace everything then. It's
No.
just so, it's the math and how you do it. It's an ongoing expenditures and putting away money over this 40-year period. And the cumulative effect of doing that is going to equal out to the 200 million, well, who knows? We're gonna get an update on that plan this year and we'll see how it changes, right? How it's been impacted by the work we've done. So,
So the other, oh, sorry.
no, you go ahead. No, like, this is free flow. We don't have to ask. It's okay.
The other document is the equipment list. I'm not sure, that was more for your reference, whether you want to go through that. Again, we can address that with each manager if you like.
Sure.
There are questions on that one. Okay, so I think that's it, other than the VIPs that we can get started on.
Yeah, we'll jump right in.
We have Mackenzie here.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna start off with a VIP for network infrastructure and high-speed internet at the Public Works Garage and the Wilson Park building, including the community center and the fire hall there.
Mhm.
So this would be a $7,500 increase in expenses over last year's budget. I won't go through all the details I put in the VIP here, but essentially what this would be for is to get the network infrastructure up to date, current, and secure managed business internet connections so that it's ready for upgrades to high-speed internet, whether that be fiber or some other source, depending on how all that goes. But we've been doing some work at the municipal office here at the NKCC, and we're currently working on the Apsley Fire Hall as well. All of our locations have been on siloed internet connections, so they don't speak to each other, which isn't necessarily best practice, and they haven't been on business networks at every location. And there's been issues with just coverage throughout the buildings, Wi-Fi coverage, that sort of thing. So by doing network updates to the physical cabling as well as network switches and the internet plans we're on, Wi-Fi management, router VPN management, all of that good stuff, it will get us on an even playing field at all of our locations. And since we've already sort of checked the office here, the NKCC and the Apsley Fire Hall, they're already done or in the process of being done. The Public Works Garage and Wilson Park are the next logical locations to look at. The one caveat being here is the $7,500 would be for one of the locations. Both of the projects will be a little bit more extensive than the other three locations we've already done, just because the cabling is older or wasn't in as good a condition as it has been at the other locations, so it'll take a little longer, a little bit more work. So our recommendation would be to only focus on one location per year. And I haven't named the specific location yet because I'd like to do a bit more of an analysis between the two and do a little bit more discussion with our network provider and with county IT and all of the good consultants and make sure that we're making a smart choice about which one should come next. And then whichever location we don't do this coming year in 2026, I would recommend we do in 2027, right, with another 7,500.
Can I ask just about Wilson Park, because I know you referred to like the community center and the fire hall, but at the library, have you talked with the library at all? Because they provide internet and they need that support to be able to connect with the main branch here too, right?
Yes, so currently how it's set up at Wilson Park, all three are on separate
Right.
internet networks. So there's one for the fire hall, one for the community center, and I think actually the library has a couple. I know that they are looking at addressing some internet changes, and I do try to keep them in the loop if there's anything that would benefit them to jump
Yeah.
on with us. So when I was investigating fiber at that location and some other options, I certainly always
Okay,
offer it out to them. It can be a little tricky because they wouldn't be a part of our main network. So
Right.
some of these upgrades wouldn't be totally relevant, but certainly anything that would cross benefit for sure.
yeah,
we
that's
definitely
what,
would
if they're
recommend.
doing improvements to the infrastructure, it would make sense. And then, I mean, because they will be coming to us with our budget anyway.
Yeah.
As long as they know and then they can, that board can plan to say,
Yeah.
okay, hey, while the township is doing this
Mhm.
infrastructure work, we're gonna piggyback on because we can improve our
Yeah.
connectivity as well. Okay, that's it.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Thanks again. As
She can
know,
see
I'm
you, I
very-
can't.
As you know, I'm very computer literate. It's nice of you to show me how to turn it on. Did you say you were only gonna do the one, not the two of them?
Yeah, so one location in 26 and then plan to do the second location in 2027, just because with the amount of time it takes to have the technicians and the contractors come up, they have to do like a full
Right.
review of the buildings, what the existing cabling is looking like, then they would give us a quote. Sometimes, depending on what they find, we have to go back to replan what we thought would work. We have to replan it a little bit, which is all, timeline issues we've experienced with the municipal office and the MKCC and the Apsley Fire Hall. So it just based off of how those went, it took about a year doing all three of those locations concurrently. And I know that both the Public Works Garage and Wilson Park are in worse, well, not worse shape, but they're farther from where we would like them to be in terms of cabling. So it'll take a little bit longer, a little bit more work. So I'd like to just focus on one each year so that we can make sure that we're doing a good job and getting it
So
where it needs to go.
7,500 is one.
One location, yeah, and then in the future planning for the capital budget in 2027, I believe we have another 7,500 for the second location.
Thank you.
Just another question too. So you said you're gonna make your determination, but
Mhm.
one of the things I'm thinking about, I mean, if you're looking at prioritizing, will these improvements help with just communication? I'm thinking specifically for the roads, the challenges we had with the ice storm and that.
Yeah.
The lack of communication, right? I would think maybe, depending on what your findings are, maybe that's the priority, is to do roads.
Yeah,
the first year.
exactly, that's,
Okay.
yeah, all of those sorts of things, are definitely on the list to consider and, yeah, remote access and in
Yeah.
emergency situations, yeah.
Cool, yeah.
It's not a huge amount of money, so I feel bad taking this time, but are we able just to have the department managers for Public Works and Parks and Rec comment on what issues they're experiencing internet wise? Like, are you getting complaints from renters at Wilson Park that the internet access isn't good? Or is this purely just being done in advance?
If you don't mind, before you guys speak, I would say some of this would be upgrades that are sort of behind the scenes in the walls, so not necessarily something that you would see from a usage perspective. For example, at the Public Works Garage, a lot of the cabling right now is sort of hanging, it wasn't properly installed, that sort of thing. In terms of and then some of the management upgrades wouldn't be seen on the user end, but it's for our liability and security and to get us to a place where we're properly managing as a municipality. And part of the issue with that is in order to have a managed connection, you have to have a certain amount of bandwidth. And because we're not managing them right now, they have the full bandwidth available to them, even though they don't have great connections. If we were to put them on a managed service right now with the existing bandwidth, it basically kills the internet, which is one issue we found when we were doing the NKCC, is that we weren't able to put it on a managed connection until we actually had some option to upgrade the internet or to improve the cabling, but I know there are a few other issues.
Okay, Gary, yeah.
Wilson Park also, there's the whole EOC issue.
Yeah.
At Wilson Park, so. It's our backup, if you wanna speak to that, Mackenzie.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I should, how much I should say, but that is definitely on the list of considerations as well for that location. And as of right now, we have one, basically one port in the community center that you can connect to, and that's it for the internet connections in the
Yeah.
community center, which obviously for anyone renting the space, or if any staff wanted to work down there or any other emergency situations,
We wanna have a
that's,
meeting
it's
down
not
there?
gonna, as we saw with the 2025 ice storm, we needed a lot of internet connections, a lot of
Yep.
internet jacks, and there is only one down there, and it is not a good, does not have good bandwidth, not a good connection. And I don't wanna get ahead of Jesse either, but with the dorms at the Wilson Park Fire Hall for the fire students down there, it's been an ongoing issue with really poor internet, and they've had complaints about it, and something we've been trying to find a solution for quite a while. And ideally, I would like to see, instead of having two separate connections for that building, managed separately, having their own independent issues, upgrade everything, have it on one network.
Right.
That has all of, it, fills all the needs we have, so. And I know at the garage as well, there's other issues, especially some of them we are hoping may be resolved with the move to Rogers Mobility. But currently, if you don't mind me saying, Jason, there's, I think, basically no reception throughout the building with Bell Mobility. And again, the internet is pretty limited to the office. We're in the process of upgrading with Citywide. We want to get tablets for all the road staff. We'd like them to be able to use Citywide. We are also looking at GeoTab as a subscription that would be integrated with the trucks, so that,
So we're like tracking, like sort of where's my plow?
yeah,
Cool, okay.
all that sort of good stuff. So as we use more of these cloud-based software and services that we're investing in now, the need for internet throughout these secondary locations that has good connection throughout the building increases. And that's sort of what we're trying to get ahead of here instead of being behind. Yeah.
It sounds like they both need it. Are you sure you can't get two technicians instead of one and just leave the two of them?
Well, we can certainly try, and I always try to get the ball rolling if possible. Part of the issue, I think, right now is the contractors that are doing a lot of the physical network cabling work for us through County IT are extremely busy, and they've been extremely hard to book. This year, it's been really difficult to find time for them to come up and do work for us, which I think is it just speaks to how many businesses are trying to do very large infrastructure upgrades like this. A lot of large businesses in Peterborough, and I know other townships as well are also doing similar things, so if we had the option and there was people available to do the work, then certainly I would want to move that forward. I think for now, it might be smart to try not to bite off more than we can chew, but once I get more into getting quotes and seeing where things fall with contractors and that sort of stuff, if I felt that it was possible and doable to do them both in 2026, then I think I would probably bring a report back to council at that point. But as of where things stand right now in terms of contractor availability and that sort of thing, I think we're limited to probably one location.
Okay, hope for the best, but
Mhm.
plan for the one.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Anything else on that? Okay, that's good.
Great, thank you so much.
Now, the asset management plan update, which we just had, but yeah.
So yes, we did have an interim update to the plan and, hopefully we can have 30,000 in the budget for a more in-depth, plan for next year. Once the roads need study is done and, we do condition of assets and update that, so we have 30,000 in there for consultant for that.
Okay,
Is this mandated?
Yes.
I bet.
he's not happy. He's very disillusioned with the assets and the management of it all. Anything else?
Get by this stupid thing.
It's not even 10 o'clock yet and he's already icy. No, that's good. So I think, we're on to our fire chief. Morning, Jesse.
Morning, Madam Mayor and Council.
See you first.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and Council. So today, the fire department, we have two VIPs. And the first one is the self-contained breathing apparatus. As council was aware, in 2025 and approved to set aside $215,000 to start the process to purchase our SCBA's for the department. We're looking to set aside $276,000 to finalize that purchase. I didn't think that I needed to get full into the VIP unless council wishes on the SCBA side.
You gotta breathe. Yeah, no, yeah, I was saying it, this is from last year as well. We knew this was coming, right? Jim.
How long would these last, Jesse?
Through you, Madam Mayor, there are 15 years life expectancy or service life on the SCBA.
So when you divide that out, it's not that bad.
Sorry,
You know, if you divide the 15 years into what it costs, that's not too bad.
Yeah,
and
and
we,
it's necessary.
through you, Madam Mayor, we will try and sell the old SCBA's on our gov deals as well, so.
Perfect. Okay,
Some set aside last year. We had some set aside last year.
Our second VIP is the replacement of our frontline pumper out of Station 1. Again, we brought this to council and council agreed to set aside the $300,000 during the 2025 budget. We're looking again to finalize that purchase by setting aside $400,000 to finalize Station 1's new frontline pumper.
questions on that? Colin?
Jumping back to the SCBA, is it worth keeping on like a hold of one or two of the older ones strictly for training purposes? Or are they really reliable enough that there's not a need to add separate ones?
So through you, Madam Mayor, we thought about keeping a couple for training purposes so that we're not depleting our equipment while we are training. But I think we would run into the issue, they're discontinued now. And the newer SCBA's are different, they have different technology, so I would be concerned training with an old piece of equipment and not staying current. But
Okay. All right. No questions on the pumper at all?
Oh, this is the other big truck, right? This is the huge,
Yep.
so now then you'll have two new big ones.
yes, through you, Madam Mayor, yes, then the two frontline pumpers will be, they'll be done, they'll be finished.
Okay. All right. Here, so far so good.
And that's
That's it.
that's all
Done.
we have.
Okay. All right, well, thanks, Jesse. That's always a quick one. Good thing they put you on first. You didn't have to wait. till the end.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council.
All right, thanks, Jesse. All right, so now township facilities. Good morning, Gary.
Mayor and Council. I begrudgingly agreed to assist Judy here with them.
You get the lion's share of this. You got to. So we have
I
to
thought he
separate
said he
you.
was gonna be brief. And I was-
Oh, we're in for the long haul now.
I expected. North Kawartha Library Accessibility and Efficiency Upgrade. So as everybody knows, the township maintains the North Kawartha Library building envelope and all the capital expenses associated with that. The library themselves have a budget and they do a great job with maintaining the interior assets and building. Couple things have been identified for 2026, mainly revolving around health, safety and accessibility upgrades. The one is the HRV unit, and the HRV is the heat recovery ventilation unit on our HVAC unit. So HVAC, of course, is your heating, ventilation and air conditioning. And HRV is an energy efficient component, especially with newer buildings that are more, airtight. It basically changes the air, removes the stale air, brings in fresh air, but it uses the heat to preheat the new fresh air coming in an attempt to reduce heating costs. I know there's always debates on how well they work, but they are required, and especially in this situation here. So we need a new HRV unit there, and the other thing that's identified to improve energy efficiencies is some occupancy sensors in a lot of the identified rooms. So when you go in, the lights go on, and when you leave, the lights go off, similar to what we have in most of the spaces at the NKCC.
Yeah.
I won't go through the rest of all this if you want, but there's a couple of other small things. Those two items amount to $5,500.
All right, next up.
The next up is the air conditioning unit at the municipal office. As you know, we had an air conditioning unit fail this past summer. It served the administration building and the offices out there. We didn't have to replace it, but out of the kindness of our heart, we did.
Of all the summers for it to go down.
Yeah, although we have a lot of, so this unit is, the unit identified for this year serves the council chambers here. And I know we got a lot of cool people in here, but,
Keep it cool in here.
air conditioning, and it's not that it's identified saying, oh, it's failing, but it was the exact same model as the unit that failed this year. Yes, it's had less life, but at the same time, we have budgeted for the replacement. $7,600.
Yeah,
Okay,
And that's everything, as far as the unit itself, new wiring kits, all that jazz. And then the last was the health center, North Kawartha Health Center roof. included in this year's budget, if you recall, was to replace the North Court, the health center roof with a bunch of malarkey. That was that new shingle, the malarkey.
That's what it's called. Malarkey. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and, but as, the addition renovation has been deferred, Matt, as well as Ryan Daly, who has a lot of roof experience from the Parks and Rec union, they both did an inspection separately, at the health center. And, both agreed that, that roof can be deferred so that it can be done at the same time as the addition. I mean, ideally, that's what you would like. So that, you know, it, I mean, sure, they can be matched later, but it would be nice when it's all done and pleasing. So that's what we've done.
That's only 21 years old. Is that about the life of the shingles now?
Well, the shingles on that roof do have a few years life left, but Matt can speak to them more because he was up there. But depending upon the asphalt shingles nowadays, whether they say 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, in my opinion. And depending upon, you know, is it facing the sun? Like
Yeah.
this building as an example. We had the one side of this building
Just-
that was
they
toast.
They literally run.
But the other side looked like it could have lasted for another 5-10 years, right? So, again, the sun is, you know,
The problem.
yeah, a big deal.
Oh, Matt,
So, oh,
he's got a.
So I was just gonna comment too, yeah, from my inspection, it's also the shade can also be an issue and moisture. So depending on, you have pine needles and leaves or whatever that are.
You got a bunch of
on the
lichen
roof
and
that,
moss growing on
you
it.
know, affect the life of the shingle as well. And, you know, whether those shingles are actually drying out after
Yeah.
rain events. So. Sorry, didn't mean to cut in on you there, Gary.
no, perfect.
We like the malarkey. Okay.
Morning, I guess it's my turn.
It is your turn. I was thinking afterwards that Gary was gonna be here for all of it, but no, that's great. Welcome. I didn't mean it like that. I know you're coming back. I look forward to it. Sorry. Jim's rubbing off on me. I'm sorry. Get the candy, would you? I feel terrible. I'm sorry. Welcome, Matt. Thanks for coming.
So that was a nice segue into the VIP that I have before you now for the health center renovation and addition. This has been a long time coming. It's, you know, been in process, I guess, for a few years. There was some changes to the plans, which then delayed things. So we're hoping to be able to start this in 2026. The actual addition portion of this renovation. So the addition, it's anticipated that it could be approximately 175 for the addition. And this is for waiting room and new vestibule area to accommodate more people. And yeah, that's about it. So there's covered porch on the front with accessible ramps as well, so.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Accessible from both sides.
Yeah,
Plan?
both.
Okay, any questions? Yeah, Colin?
The only one that I have any hesitancy with is updating the bathroom, just because I think based on whoever goes in there, the needs of the bathroom can be so wildly different.
I thought we did the math.
It's
Yeah.
been completed already.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right. Different building.
Items ahead here.
That's all right. No, that was good, Matt.
Okay.
Well, bad word.
Quicker I finish, the quicker you can talk with Gary. Good morning. So I'll start with the first bit that I have regarding the renovations at 135 Burley Street. So as of right now, with help of Matt, we basically have the draft RFP. We're just working on the final wording and just a couple parameters for that and hoping to have it complete this week. But I don't know if there's any other questions specific to this property.
Only one after that.
I wonder what my thoughts might be. Yeah, just because, like, depending if it's food service or someone professional that moves in there, the washroom could need to be torn out and completely redone again. I know the asbestos needs to be removed no matter what's moving in there, but as far as updating it to meet the standards and sort of redesigning it, that's one item that may be better to leave when we have a tenant, but I'm not sure how others feel.
I think that's the main thing we gotta deal with, like, you're not gonna get anybody in until you have an accessible washroom, right? But, Matt?
Well, one of the aspects to this is that if you're going to be looking for a tenant, you don't want to be delaying them for X number of months while they do the renovation to install an accessible washroom. It's going to be a time-consuming process of, removing concrete to get up plumbing and redo it. So to have that washroom there, if it means that the doorway maybe changes to a different location, so it's accessible to public out in that main office space, that can change fairly quickly if that's a need for a new tenant. But to actually have the main bathroom, designed and installed, I think that's key for this.
Alana?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, if I'm thinking at a minimum, they would want an accessible washroom, but are you thinking that additional washrooms or kitchen
Yeah.
sinks could be required? Cause I'm wondering if, I think the accessible washroom is still located near the back. And you do have that kitchenette area where you've got some plumbing, so I think that, if you did get a tenant that had needs above that accessible washroom. Kind of would be easier to,
Yeah.
maybe
I
move
think
in.
to the minimum, there's gonna be one washroom at least, and we're always putting in the one washroom, for food service. Of course, we need just the hand washing station as well. There will be the kitchen area, maybe not, but if it needs to be reconfigured, at least put the plumbing and the drain lines there that provide that flexibility.
Right.
But whereas as Matt said, with the time in terms of having the concrete for breaking that up. And if we were installing additional washrooms, like, see, maybe because of the size of, but in this case, we're only installing, one bathroom, so which would be the minimum requirement anyways.
Jim?
So somebody's working in there now, is that right? Because I got a phone call. Wondering if they want me to tear up the linoleum as well as the tile. And I passed it off to Orlando. I don't know whether he has an answer for it, but he said the linoleum's down tight and he couldn't get it off. So what do you want me to do? And I told him I couldn't make that decision. So is that did you get a call?
I haven't spoken to anyone.
Wow.
I don't know if maybe that's in reference to another property rather than,
I don't know if we got another property where we're tearing up tile.
When was this call?
Who called you?
When was this call?
About a week ago.
And they were tearing up linoleum where? Where did you think it was here?
No, they'd taken the tile up, they said, and the linoleum was stuck tight, so did we, Anyway, forget it. Nobody got a call.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I am still catching up on some email from being at the conference last week, but I haven't had a direct conversation with anyone in any of our buildings.
Okay.
and Matt and I were in there last week and nobody's working.
There's nobody.
Yeah.
There's nobody. Okay, forget I said anything.
Somebody somewhere though.
I can look in your bathroom.
Put it down linoleum.
Okay.
Okay, if there's no other questions, I'll move on to 143 Burley Street. So, I received the survey this week, which we were waiting on, so the county will be able to start with the specific drawings now for that property. But as of today, I have no update from our meeting, a month or two ago from regarding this project specifically. So other than we have the survey completed now, so.
Okay. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
The finance one, the commission.
And maybe just to be clear, so the amounts that we have in here currently do include 2 EV chargers, not just the conduit at the present moment.
That's correct. Yeah, 2 level 2 chargers are within that cost estimate.
Okay.
Going back to the parking lot, we approved, council hasn't approved the final plan for the parking lot yet, have we?
We went back in the county, changed it to the 90-degree configuration. They were just waiting on the survey just to confirm about the points. And the one question would probably be the barrier fencing along the north side of the property, that some of that was dependent on the survey point in terms of what would be the best solution with running. So there is a fence cost put into that budget, but in terms of the exact specification, I think that would be a decision to be decided on how that barriers exactly visually looks like
Right.
and where it is installed.
So the amount we have in here is counting everything, pavement and all that stuff.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Right, so there's another municipality, it's out towards Kingston. They're having an interesting time with the EV chargers that they've installed at their municipal office. There was unexpectedly high delivery fees for it. And it hasn't been incorporated into all the accounting that they did and the sort of projections. Have we checked and seen what we're gonna be expecting as far as a delivery fee for these updated ones?
I was gonna speak to that in the next one, but just in the next bit regarding the NKCC, but generally level 2 chargers are under the threshold of 50 kilowatt hours, so they're not subject to demand charges if they're on a meter by themselves, but the level 3 chargers do bring you into a category where demand charges are applicable for servicing. So yeah, with the level 2s, that's like, even including lightage, I think wouldn't get into a category where there would be those demand charges.
Yeah, carry on.
Okay, so the next one, the EV charging station, so this one I made some notes because there's been some changes since even September. So after the authorization for council to move forward with Flow in terms of the vendor had closed their Quebec factory and then notified it that the unit that was quoted is being discontinued. And that's, they're reselling an American-made unit instead. Within our quoting through procurement, there was also ChargePoint that we looked at, which is a US manufacturer of level 2 and level 3 chargers. There are other level 2, level 3 chargers, Canadian-made options, but they're not part of the Canute procurement group. So if we were to try to look at that, it would involve, a separate RFP. Currently, there's no retaliatory tariffs that are affecting EV equipment and the related components, but it's unsure if it's level 3 charges that might be applicable down the road. And to the point the councilor brought up about the demand charges. So with level 3 chargers, the DC fast chargers, you get into over the 50 kilowatt demand charges with commercial servicing. So for example, the NKCC is a location where we do get those demand charges.
Yeah.
Based on 2 level 3 chargers, with the updated rates as of January 1st, 2026, if we had at any point during a month, 2 EV level 3 chargers charged simultaneously, the demand charges would be roughly $2,300 for the month. So that doesn't include the actual consumption charges as well. So with the demand charges, you're kind of being charged. If you think about with water use, that basically the size of the pipe rather than how much is being actually flowing through at any point in time. So the regular consumption charges be how much is flowing through. The demand charge is basically how big your pipe is, at how much water could be serviced to at any point of time. So there are some other municipalities that have come in with these demand charges. It has become an issue. Again, that the province is through the Ontario Energy Board, changing the rates as of January 1st, but doing some calculations, basically roughly about $2,300 based on the specifications that we have today. In addition to that, there's kind of been both with federal government and auto manufacturers there's been numerous announcements over the last couple of weeks that could impact, EV adoption and infrastructure demand. We also don't know in terms of with the upcoming fall economic updates, both at the provincial and federal level, if there'll be either positive or negative changes that could impact the EV, both in terms of the regulatory environment, but sales and adoption rates. So at this point, my verbal right is to keep it within the budget, but the staff to provide an update within December, January, basically after these economic updates are provided, an additional time to kind of look at the recent changes in terms of the regulatory environment, rate structures, and project risks, because it has evolved significantly within the last even couple weeks since the last meeting. So.
Okay, who's got questions? Colin?
Yeah, sorry, I probably misunderstood or heard something, but the 2,300 number, would that be expected increase month over month with these?
No, so that's the demand charge. So as an example, like for the NKCC, the delivery charges, which are mostly made up of include the demand charges, is $6,300. So, and the consumption at the NKCC at that peak is roughly 2.8 times what it would be with the level 3 chargers. So it's basically we'd be paying that if 2 cars show up, level 3 charge and plug in at the same point in time, that demand charge at that point would be roughly $2,300 plus, and there's the cost of the actual consumption in terms of kilowatt hours for the consumption aspect. But basically, as soon as that, you're basically charged your consumption at the highest peak within that billing period. So that can change, but roughly if 2 vehicles plugged in at the same time, based on the updated rates as of January 1st, that's what we're doing.
So can I ask just some clarification? That's like, it puts you over the threshold. Is what, like, I'm trying to understand, like, is it the way, is it $2,300 every time 2 cars plug in at the same time?
No, within that,
Sorry.
yeah, no, sorry, actually, so within that billing period, you're charged the greatest instantaneous use.
Exactly.
So theoretically, 2 vehicle level 3 plugging in at the same time would be the maximum demand.
Right.
So if 2 vehicles were to plug in at the same time, level 3 vehicles, roughly the demand charge, because that instantaneous demand on the grid would roughly be $2,300 per month.
Per month.
So,
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
so would we be charged $2,300 a month, but basically broken down into a per minute basis for while there's 2 vehicles charging at the same time?
It's just a flaw, it's built into the delivery charge, but if basically if you reach that threshold, basically if 2 cars only 1 car plugged in, our delivery charges, we roughly have that. So at a time, so then your charge consumption rates on top of that in terms of regular kilowatt hours that most people would see on their bill, so.
So can I ask that, I mean, through your Gary, so how many months do we go over that threshold? Are we at that peak? Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out, like, how is this gonna impact, like, are we always at that highest level every month of the year at the NKCC, or is it?
I can let Gary cover, but when I looked at the historical billing, it usually seems that the NKCC, the highest demand rates are in this September, October, and I'm probably guessing it's related to the when the ice.
Ice is going in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking,
September, October, that's our peak.
okay, but what we're saying is we got 2 cars plugged in February, we're gonna be paying that peak again.
Correct.
Let's just put one in. But that's like, I mean, and how do we, like, I can't, I'm just boggling my mind,
I'm
like,
having a hard time with this too, Carl.
why would we put in 2 if we're, that's huge.
Why would we bother with it?
Anyway,
It's gonna cost us money.
Like, just put in 1 and then it doesn't happen, and we can have the other kind, I don't know, Colin, go
and
ahead.
just to get it on the record, I do want EV chargers, even though
I
it
didn't know.
seems like I'm constantly coming after them, because I think part of the thing, we have to do a good job on these first ones, or else it'll be harder to expand the program throughout the rest of the township.
Exactly,
So again, I know that I'm always coming after the EV program, but it's not that I don't want them, just I want it to be done
it's gonna be done
really
right,
well.
exactly. Alana?
I feel very similar to that, and I've mentioned, like, I really do think that we have to get at least 1 location with EV chargers,
Yep.
and it'd be nice to have the 3 and the 2, but maybe as Edward continues to work with it and check on, you know, as he said, there's quite a bit of information coming at this point. Yeah, maybe we do look at, but I think when you put in 1, do you automatically get 2 heads, or can you just do 1? level 3?
One, most level 3 chargers would be at that 50 kilowatt demand.
So
The
it
thing
could
is,
go.
you could dial it back basically, but then it wouldn't be a fast charger anymore, which
Right.
kind of defeat the purpose
purpose
of
of the
having a level 3 fast charger. It would be different, say, if you were running, there are some level 3 chargers at marinas, resorts or things, but those would be sales. So if someone has a level 3 vehicle like a Tesla, it might be at 18 or 20 kilowatt, but that's designed to charge a level 3 car overnight. Whereas the level 3 faster are to charge a car within, 40 minutes, an hour, again, in that range. So it's not, if you bring, you can dial back the power consumption, but it would take longer to charge the vehicle.
And one benefit is, you know, we're aware of these issues coming on now, so we're kind of in a good position, and we're working also with a grant, so we have to work within those boundaries, but yeah, we're at a good point to incorporate all of this information into, as you said, trying to do it as best we can.
You do it right. Jim?
I see you looking at Gary about this. Is this tied into the community center account?
No, it would be a new service. It would be a new account. It's just that the NKCC is the only property that I can see is that brings us into that threshold of demand charges. I didn't see any demand on any of the other properties just because we're not getting into. We don't have that level of demand on the grid and the equipment to bring us into that threshold. So it's only the NKCC where we see those demand charges really being applicable to our hydro consumption.
What do you figure the income on these things would be? Gonna cost us $2,300 a month. What's the income gonna be?
The question, and that's why the rates are also going up November 1st. Hydro rates in Ontario, about, depending on the time of use and everything, roughly 10 to 13%. Most residential users won't see that because they get the Ontario energy rebate, but commercial users and municipalities don't get that rebate. So that increase in the actual consumption costs, commercial users, businesses, municipalities will bear that increase, but because they're not eligible for the OER that residential users see.
Gary?
I'm sorry, quick question. How many hours would a car need to be plugged in 1 unit for 100% cost recovery?
Doing some quick calculations, I figure that for the level 3 chargers, because there's different rates for level 2, level 3. A level 3, probably we'd have to be charging more like $40 an hour to have all those cost recoveries, especially where I see the issue is that we probably have a higher usage in the summer, but in the winter, we may not. And so if we only have 2 users show up and say up here, in the winter and use it within that period, we incur all that cost with it. So probably our market rate that we'd have to charge is higher than than some of the others in the area. It's different than, say, somebody like a Canadian Tire, where they might operate at a slight loss because they're attracting people to come in their store, things like that. So for a full cost recovery, we probably have to be on the higher end of the market rate for the level 3, which more in that $30+ per hour. But where the on average is about $20 per hour in this area right now. But with the changes in pricing and stuff, yeah, kind of we need some more information, kind of really have an idea about those costs.
Wow. Okay, so this is like to be continued.
Yeah.
This is sort of on the same topic, but not the same discussion. So Canoe. I'm not sure it's worth even sticking with Canoe. This is a very American company that has a sort of maple washed Canadian arm. But we know from experience when we're dealing with individuals, they're going to be zooming in from Minnesota. We're not the only municipality that's had issues where the items seem to more often than not be coming from America over a Canadian alternative. Sault Ste. Marie had the same. It ended up limiting our options. While I do like the general concept of it and having that procurement group,
Yeah.
I think especially right now, Canoe isn't an appropriate option for us to continue to use.
Jim?
My last two are, probably expected, but, we were $60,000, now we're 123. That's the increased cost of the, units. Because you told us at the last time, that when we were looking at this, that it was $60,000 that we had to pay. And now it's 123.
But the first costs were basically estimated when the grant application went in, and there was that. Basically, it was a matching amount within the grant when the grant application was originally submitted. Then afterwards, we actually got actual quotes based on this location, and the pricing was adjusted accordingly based on those quotes from vendors. The other thing I would say, the Canoe procurement has been beneficial in terms of originally, I don't think we could foresee that there was a good Canadian option that was part of Canoe procurement, and due to the changes in the market, that option was lost. But there is in terms of for staff time, there are benefits of using Canoe, I would say as well. But to the point of council, that maybe it's depending on what it is that's the township's looking at, that there might be other options as well. But the Canoe procurement does add value add and simplifies the procurement process. So this would have been a lot of work otherwise to draft an RFP and go through these vendors, especially because they'd probably be coming back with a lot of different specifications. Whereas through Canoe procurement, there were already a lot of other municipalities, government agencies that were tendering through that, and there were some similarities that when the quotes came back, they were easier to compare that way.
And my last question is, there's no other country or nothing in Canada that we can buy, instead of getting American?
There are Canadian options of level 2 and level 3 chargers, but again, it would involve going back and procure, through a separate RFP. As well, I just want to do some more research, and I think also to have maybe additional discussions with some other municipalities that are going through the same process as well. And looking at that.
Thanks, Edward.
All right, so to be continued.
And the last bit relates to signage and branding. So of course, this year we start to roll out the new signage. We have the NKCC signage being installed next week, and then improvements to the signage here for the building department, and then carry forward with phase 2 in 2026 for additional signage.
Yeah. We gotta carry on, get them all done, so. Okay. I think that's good. And I'm just looking at the time. I think I'm gonna call for a 10-minute recess, and then we'll get back at it, because the next one up is 10:45, right? So that worked out perfect.